So while I was having that get recorded on the computer, we had a discussion that basically at the end here where it says minus the integral of all that, if you get that 4 out of there, the rest of this is basically right there. So it's where you started. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write this, go to the next page, I'm going to write it all out so you can see it, because I told you the calculus was done. So let's go to the next page. The problem we were starting agreed, that's what we were asked to do, right? And so we said, all right, and we started, we did integration by parts, and the first box we got was e to the x cosine of 2x, is that right? Is that the first box we had on the other page? It's e to the x cosine of 2x. And then the next box was plus because the negatives combined. The next box was 2e to the x sine of 2x. And then minus the integral. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to choose to take the 4 out. That might help you see it. That's a dx at the end. You see this? And that. They are the same. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do algebra. But what I do to one side of the equal sign, I have to do to the other. I'm going to add 4 of these integrals over to the other side. Would those cancel then? Minus 4 plus 4, they cancel. But if I add it to the right side, I have to add it over here. What coefficient would you consider out in front of this one? A 1. Do you agree? This is algebra. It's algebra with calculus in it, but it is algebra. And I'll give you a second to write that down. Because these two cancel. And now you can see why I went to another page. No way this would have fit on the last one. How many of them do I have on the left side of the equal sign now? I have 5 of those integrals, don't I? And so far it equals, we're almost done. That's why I'm continuing. And that's what it would equal, correct? And as I was just told, now divide everything by 5. And would you get back to what that integral is? You will. Divide everything by 5, though. Cancels, which leaves me back to where I started. Find the integral of that. So then divide this one here by 5, and divide that one there by 5. And of course, don't forget one small. Yes, plus constant. Not a constant divided by 5. Just a constant, remember. So that integral right there equals that. And let's face it, this looked like this was never going to end. It was just going to keep going and going and going. But it came right back to where we started, except the coefficient was different. If you didn't see that we came back to where we started, you would just keep on going, and it would keep on flipping back from sine and cosine, and e to the x would just keep on going. Your coefficient would have just kept getting bigger. It would never get to a point where that integral was something you could do just by that sheet of paper I gave you or by substitution. It would never get to something like that. Oh, it would. It would take a long time. It would take every couple times. Exactly. The question there was is you have to keep going until basically your integral in your integration by parts, namely this, matches up with where you started. Now, do you have to do this every single time? No. The only reason we had to do it here is look at the 2 functions we started with. Neither one of those was going anywhere. They were going to be there no matter where I put it. Remember, we made that choice at the beginning. Which way do we want to go? In red here, they weren't going anywhere. And in blue, they weren't going anywhere. You just chose red because you didn't want to have to do substitution every single time. Good choice. You would have gotten the exact same answer had you done it the other way. It probably would have taken you a lot longer, though. There would have been a lot more fractions involved, but you would have gotten to the same thing. Would have been a common denominator issue, but you could have done it that way. Any questions? On the back of these notes, I would like you to do this problem. Can be done, once again, both ways. You need to decide, well, which way do I want to do it? Which way is going to cause me less pain?